Good evening, my beautiful brothers and sisters in Jesus. Today is Thursday, the 23rd of May 2024. It's 8:57 p.m. here in Australia. I hope you're doing very well and I hope you've been blessed. Pardon my voice. I don't know what's going on. It seems to every time that I want to come and do videos that it feels like I'm losing my voice. We're just going to keep pushing on. So today's video, or tonight's video, is going to be pretty big, brothers and sisters. And I know there's a lot of people, well, not a lot, but I know there's a few people out there who are like, I can't do your long videos, you know, they don't have the time. And I totally appreciate that and understand that. But, you know, the way my relationship works with Father is just all day, every day. I'm just basically writing stuff down as it comes on my spirit, studying, watching videos, you know, just I really feel like I'm in university, the university of life and understanding at the moment, because the revelations are out of this world. And I've never in all of my 14, 15 years of really studying and researching, I have never been so overwhelmed with the amount of things that are coming to the surface and the understanding, the understanding. It's just a wonderful time to be alive and we are so blessed. So excuse my voice. I'm just going to push through this because I've tried to start this video like 5 times thinking that my voice will sound better. It is what it is. Okay, so in tonight's video, I've got heaps and heaps of stuff. I've got all my notepad notes, which are about 5 or 6 pages. I've got a conversation with a sister that I had today that I want to share with you, and I've asked her if it's okay because some incredible revelations were made. I've got a Word document. I've got a bunch of TikTok videos I want to share with you, and I'm going to try and put this all in some kind of order and storyline so that you can see this is all going to connect together. So let's just jump straight into it because there's a lot to get through tonight. And so the first thing I want to show you, brothers and sisters, I'm just going to do a little recap of where I'm standing at the moment with everything, just in a shortened version so everyone can get caught up. And if people are new here, go back and watch my previous videos, the last sort of 8 to 10 videos. You're going to see a huge shift in what I was doing for the last years, and then sort of coming to this revelation that where we are now and why things are so different and why the understanding is here now. So basically, in a nutshell, I believe that the Elohim that is written about in Genesis 1, Genesis 2 and Yahweh, they are not our Father in heaven. Okay, and this world here, it was created by the Elohim and Yahweh, or Satan, and hence the reason why Satan could offer this world to Jesus in the wilderness in the 40 days of fasting from Jesus, and basically my understanding is a lot more comprehensive now in the fact that I understand that we're in some kind of simulation, and nothing, I repeat, nothing is as it seems. Everything that we've been taught, even by the churches, by the government, by everybody, is a lie. It's almost backwards and upside down and the other way around. And what else could I say? Basically, I think we're living very, very, very close to the end. I'm not talking about a rapture. I'm not talking about anything. I'm talking about the end of everything. And, you know, the wrapping up and the dusting of hands and, you know, the judgment day, basically. So now that we're sort of caught up with those facts, the first thing I want to read to you is there is this, I'll just go to the website quickly so I can see what it's called. Okay, so this is Gnostic.org. Okay, the Gnostic Society Library. Okay, Gnostic.org. And you can go and read, so basically it's the Nag Hammadi Library is a collection of 13 ancient books called codices containing over 50 texts. It was discovered in Upper Egypt in 1945. This immensely important discovery includes a large number of primary Gnostic Gospels, texts once thought to have been entirely destroyed during the early Christian struggle to define orthodoxy. Scriptures such as the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Philip, the Gospel of Truth, that's all in here. So, before anybody tunes off and says, oh, you're a Gnostic now and all this kind of stuff, you have to understand and appreciate what a Gnostic is. Gnosticism just means knowledge. It's an understanding, and we're told, even in the books of Daniel, that the books were going to be sealed and they were going to be unsealed at the time of the end, and knowledge would increase. Okay, so we're not to be scared of these texts, because these texts, more than anything, really align with the words of Jesus. And this is a big thing that I have really been pushing for the last, 5 to 8 videos of mine, is Jesus's words only. Everything else in the Bible, other than the Matthew, Mark and Luke, take with a grain of salt. I'm not saying to throw the text out. I'm not saying that, anything bad about it. But what I am saying is there's an agenda in there. There's linkage and added on, texts and things like this to suit the agenda of the church, okay, and to suit the agenda of whatever it is that has control over us and is trapping us down here. So with that being said, in one of these books, okay, and it is called, where are we? Down here. It's the hypothesis of the archons, okay? An archon is basically the lowered gods, okay, like the Elohim, Yahweh, all these lower gods. The ones I believe who created this world, who also created us, not our spirit, brothers and sisters. I believe our spirit is with Father, but we were given a living soul. There's a difference between spirit and soul, okay? Soul is what makes us human, gives us emotion and everything like that, whereas the spirit is what connects us with the Father, okay? So the archons basically deceived us somehow, okay? Because we were in heaven before all of this went down. We were with the Father, okay? And that, like it says in the scriptures, that Satan, iniquity was found in him. He was cast down, and then he created what we know today as this earth, and also us. Not us, but our host bodies, okay? Our host bodies. And we are in some kind of trap, but this exciting thing, brothers and sisters, is this is the end of the cycle, okay? We're coming to the end of the cycle, and we're going to talk about more about why I believe that, and giving you scriptural evidence and just factual evidence of why it's not only me, but the whole world, the whole world knows that something's up. So with that being said, I'm going to read you a part of the hypostasis, I think that's how you say it, of the archons, on the origin of the world. Now, I just wrote, because I was watching a video and he was reading it out, and I paused it and just wrote it just straight off the video, because I just wanted to share this bit with you. But it's called Yardaboth creates heaven and earth and bears 3 sons. Okay, so listen to this, brothers and sisters. When the ruler saw his greatness, he saw only himself. Now, this is talking about Satan, okay, or the Elohim or Yahweh, okay. He saw nothing else except water and darkness. Now, keep in mind Genesis 1, okay? He saw nothing else except water and darkness. Then he thought that he alone existed. His thought was made complete by means of the word. That should be the word. and it appeared as a spirit moving to and fro over the water. And when that spirit appeared, the ruler separated the watery substance to one region and the dry substance to another region. From matter, he created a dwelling place for himself and called it heaven. And from matter, the ruler created a footstool and called it earth. Afterwards, the ruler thought according to his nature, and he created an androgynous being by the means of the word. Okay, so I want to talk to you about this. Obviously, you can already see the comparison to Genesis 1. Okay, in the beginning was the Elohim, and the Elohim created, you know how it goes. Let's just quickly go there. So, Genesis 1. Okay, so in the beginning, God created, let's just go to Names of God Bible, so we get the real names. In the beginning, Elohim created heaven and earth. The earth was formless and empty, and darkness covered the deep water. The Ruach, or the spirit of the Elohim, was hovering over the water. Okay, and then he said, let the water under the sky come together in one area and let dry land appear. So that is legit the same story, but I believe the truth. Okay, it was this, and there's another part to this text that says, because of the ego, because of, you know, him seeing his greatness and believing he was the only one and nothing else. I mean, this goes along with, you know, the Ten Commandments, where it says, you know, I am the only God, and there shall be nothing beside me, nothing below me, nothing above me. I'm a jealous God, you know, etc., etc. But in these other texts, it says that because of this great ego and because of such pride and vanity, that it said that he caused sin to every single being there was in this universe, whatever you want to call it, existence, right? He caused the first sin because of his egotisticalness, or whatever the word is. And, you know, that was the grave sin. That was the grave sin, because he believed he was nothing else. Nothing was higher than him. Okay, so, and then you can see about the water and, you know, the spirit moving to and fro over the water. And this is what I was talking about in my last video when I said, you know, this is why I do not believe that Jesus was born of a virgin, okay? Because this whole story of the Spirit of God hovered over Mary and she became impregnated, you know, to me, straight away, that was sus. In my last video, I'm like, there's something not right here. Now, when I seen this, and which makes a lot of sense, and the fact that we as humans are like 70 to 80% water, and we are created that way, okay? I was like, okay, there's something really sus going on here. Something to do with, you know, using water to create. And notice it says by his thought was made complete by the means of the word. And down here he said, and he created an androgynous being by the means of the word. And the whole Genesis 1 is, you know, the Elohim said, the Elohim said, the Elohim said. So it's, as I've said in my videos, the Jews have a word, an idiom called abracadabra. And we know that like as a magic trick, but abracadabra is, I speak what I create, okay? And this is how it all came to be. I don't know how we got trapped down here or the deception that was told, but this is the reality, brothers and sisters, that we have been trapped down here on this prison planet, on this prison earth, and we have been going through a reincarnation soul trap cycle, okay? And many people are going to freak out and think I'm, way off the track. But everything is proven by Scripture as well, because Jesus, when he asked his disciples, "Who do you say that I am?" And one of his disciples answered back to him and said, some say that you're Elijah, some say that you're John the Baptist, after John was already dead, right? So, and Jesus didn't admonish any of them. He didn't say, "Oh, that's ridiculous, they're dead, how could I be him?" So you can see there that the idea of reincarnation, is obviously a thing. That's what I'm trying to say. And when you do research on reincarnation, it is in pretty much every other religion. And the stories of some children that they're just astonishing. Out of the mouth of babes, right? They're just astonishing. They can list who they were in their past lives, and it's absolutely wonderful to watch. And like we've talked here before on the videos, I myself have a strong feeling that I was once a sailor. Like, I'm talking Renaissance clothing, that era, and that I was sailing and exploring, like going into new lands and exploring, because I can vividly see the ship going through big waves and my crew and everything like this. Okay, and I think this is where deja vu comes from. This is why we're like, we've been here before. I've been here before. This feels so familiar. Okay, so, and here, and from matter the ruler created a footstool and called it earth. Okay, doesn't that sound more like, somebody who wants to keep us under the thumb, that we are a footstool? So he's got his feet on us rather than our loving Father in heaven. Okay, and again, even Jesus said to the Jews, the reason you don't know me, because you don't know my Father. Okay, and he said, your father is the devil. Okay, and he is a liar and a murderer from the beginning. And I'm coming more and more and more to the acceptance, brothers and sisters, that we have been here from the beginning. Okay, I'm talking about from the beginning of this creation of this earth. We have been here from the beginning, and we have gone through reincarnation cycle after reincarnation cycle, because we keep getting trapped to come down here under the guise of trying to fix our karma, so to speak. Okay, and because human nature is like, we want to rectify and do the right thing. So instead of like asking for free will and saying, "I want to go home to Father," we're like, "Oh, well, we better go back down and fix our problems, fix the karma, so that this cycle doesn't keep happening again." And then what seems to be happening is that when we come back down for our next cycle, our memory gets wiped, right? And it's just this constant experience of going through each of these lifetimes and life cycles. And and this is why I believe with all my heart and soul that this is the last one. Because never, ever, ever, just one thing before I talk about this, because in the Bible it says that your name was written in the book of life from the creation of this world. This is one of the biggest reasons why I'm starting to feel now that we've been here from the beginning. Okay, we just don't seem to remember it. Okay, but I think that, and I truly, truly think, as much as humanly possible, to my understanding, that this is the last one. And this is why the whole world seems to be collapsing at the moment. And this is why we're seeing the sun simulator, the moon simulator. We're starting the veil fell on that eclipse, brothers and sisters, on that eclipse on April 8th. The veil was torn, okay? now this matrix simulation system is able to be seen with our eyes, and it is falling. And now, we've never had a time like this ever in the history of mankind. So now this is why things are going to ramp up on their side as well, on the evil side as well. And I've got some amazing TikToks to show you, but we are definitely at the end, because everything that was hidden is now being revealed. And as the acceleration pedal goes on the evil side to, create and play out the playbook of the Book of Revelation, which is a Freemason playbook, as much as they got the foot on the acceleration, we also, but for the first time in the history of humanity, we have a foot in front of them this time, because love conquers all. Okay, perfect love casts out all fear. Our job, and my job especially now, coming out of this rapture delusion and this religious and this church delusion that we were trapped in, and don't get me wrong, it was, everything had a purpose for the time it was, just like Judas had a purpose, and he had to fulfill what he did to Jesus. He had to do that. Okay, everything is the way it should be. But we've never lived in a time like the knowledge spreading and increasing has never been able to happen, except for the time that we live in now, because of the internet, because of the instant communication that we can share. And I'm going to show you a video a bit later on, but I'll just talk about it now because it goes with what I'm saying. When this guy was saying, when one crystallized structure forms that has never been on this earth before, and it may have taken 10,000 years to form, but once that one crystallized structure forms, it's only going to be a matter of time before the next one forms. Okay, and when there's two crystallized structures, then it's going to be an even quicker time that the third one comes, and even quicker time when the fourth one comes, and so on and so on and so on, and this is exactly what's happening now with the understanding, the inner standing of what is going on in this world, and what it truly is, and who we truly are, and the power we truly have. It's like wildfire, boom, 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 boom. This is what the certain group of people would call the collective consciousness is we're finally like linking in the, with each other. We're becoming one with each other, and the understanding, and the understanding that we get from all of this is just happening like rapid fire now, because it's multiplying like cells multiply. So this is why it's so exciting, brothers and sisters. And I know it's so different from what we knew a year ago. Okay, a year ago we were looking at dates and setting rapture dates and looking at Israel and seeing that they're at war, and that's all distraction, brothers and sisters. It's all distraction, and we must come out of that looking for the rapture constantly. I'm telling you, take it from me, who was like rapture queen. Okay, I pushed that so much, and I was a date setter and all those things, and I can see now that it's a perfect deception, a lot of truth, but slightly twisted with a lie. And this is how they get us. This is exactly how they get us, brothers and sisters. Okay, so let's keep moving on. I just wrote down here, this ruler god was called Sin, and the mountains were called Ai. So this is really interesting. Okay, Yahweh, if you have a look at the origins and the history of where Yahweh came from, the original name for that god was Sin. Okay, this is where the word sin comes from. And like I said to you before, because when he created matter and, and made endogenous beings and made a footstool on this earth and all this kind of thing, and said, look at me, I'm awesome, I'm the only one, I'm the greatest thing ever. he committed a great sin against all beings, right? So this is where sin originated from. So this God was called Sin, okay? And the mountains are called AI, okay? I am not kidding you. The mountains are called AI. So Sinai, okay, that's where we get Mount Sinai, is Sin AI. The reason they had this, see how I've got this picture of a mountain here? Well, this mountain, Mount Sinai, is where the moon would rise every evening at 6 o'clock. Okay, the moon would rise behind there. And all the Israelites and all that would look towards the moon, and Yahweh and Baal, the one and the same name, okay? Baal, Yahweh, Allah, they're all one and the same God. I know that may seem, full on to some people that haven't been watching my videos, but I've shown you this. I've shown you how this has happened, okay? But basically, so they've seen this moon come up, and this is why it says in Genesis 1, and then there was evening and then morning, and that was the first day, okay? Their day started at evening, brothers and sisters. And if anybody, you've watched me for a few years, I've always thought that was, I thought the full moon was the first day of the month, not the slither of the moon, because I always knew it was Babylonian. But now this makes absolute perfect sense why they reverence the night coming. Okay, that's their daytime. That's their daytime. Okay, this is why they have the even in the morning with the first day, is because they're worshipping the god Sin in the mountains, Sinai. Okay, just wrote here, just a little note to myself, it was 7.83 hertz is the Earth's heartbeat. Okay, this is the alpha state. This is a state of just absolute, what can you say the word, Zen. Okay, you know how you see those like monks and stuff, how they're like waving their hand, like doing like slow waving, like almost like I was going to say Taifu, is that the name? Taekwondo and all that kind of stuff. You know how they do it real slow in slow motion, they're just using the rhythm of their body? That's Zen, having that real lowered heartbeat where it's just you're so much more open to Father, being able to speak through you and being more at peace with everything and letting nothing worry you, let no fear come in, all this kind of stuff that we've been told is, that's, demonic, and you stay away from all that kind of stuff. That's actually the stuff that helps us, brothers and sisters, is to get into these different states. Meditation, for example, we've always been told, don't meditate, as a Christian, don't meditate because you're opening your mind up to all this other stuff. Exactly, brothers and sisters, because we've been so covered up, and locked up in our minds. This is why they say we only use 10% of our brain, right? But now is the time that we start, be still and and hear the Father's voice. It's time for us to to move past all these things that we have once been told are demonic. Okay, like I explained in my last video, when you talk to the Father, go into the closet, shut the door, and pray to this Father who is in secret. Even Jesus said this, you're looking for the kingdom of heaven, but it's something you cannot observe because it's within you. Jesus himself said this, brothers and sisters. It's within you, and this is what I'm trying to get at. This knowledge, this understanding, this is what brings the kingdom of heaven on earth right now. Okay, this is our reward right now, is the freedom that we are out of the shackles. We've been set free from captivity, and this is the whole reason Jesus came. Okay, the whole reason Jesus came was to be to destroy the works of the devil, the hold, the stronghold, the shackles and the chains and the captivity of the evil one. And how did he do it? What did he tell us to do? To love God and love one another. If you live in that state of being, and I found some awesome, I found two awesome Bible verses, and they both said, live in love, live in, in harmony with each other, and be charitable. Because when you're charitable, it says it covers a multitude of sins. Okay, it covers a multitude of sins. And this is why the guy comes up to Jesus and said, "Good master, what must I do to be saved?" And Jesus said, love one another, don't commit adultery, honour the mother and father. And then the guy says, well, all of this I've done since my youth. And then Jesus said, well, if you want to be perfect, then sell everything that you have and give it to the poor. And then that guy walked off and got sad because he was rich and he had a lot of stuff. So this is what I made the connection today with, the law of attraction or manifesting things, right? One of the biggest things that, which the devil, and I'm using this analogy a lot now. The devil lives by this, okay? He's like, well, if I can't beat him, I'm going to join him. So Jesus was the first one to say, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move and go into the ocean. Okay, so this is, and also everything that you ask for, it shall be given to you. Knock and the door shall be open for you. Okay, this is the true manifestation. This is the true realization that we can have anything that we ask for. Okay, so the devil uses this, and what does the devil throw in? He's like, oh, ask for money, ask for nice cars, ask for a nice house, all these kind of things. And money, right? Money has such a low frequency. So, how people do dream boards, and, they say if you want to be rich, you got to think like a rich person and be in the company of rich people, okay? It's very easy to manifest money because it's at such a low vibration. But like Jesus said, it's easier. It's easier for, what's this thing about the rich man? It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into heaven. Okay, and this is what, and another Bible verse is, you cannot serve two masters. Either you'll love one or hate the other, or you'll serve one, whatever, and hate the other. You cannot serve God and man, or God and money. Okay, either pick one or the other. And another one is, store all your riches in heaven, where the moths and rust can't take them away from you. And so this is what we've got to be on the ball. Okay, we've got to be spiritually wise to understand that Satan's like, crap. Jesus has given these people all this power, and once they realize it, then I'm stuffed. So what am I going to do? I'm going to use it and twist it a little bit with falsities or deception, right? So, all right, let's get on to the next stuff. Otherwise, we'll be here all night. So, all right. So we're going to go to the Word document now. Okay, so I'll leave this for a little bit first because I want to talk about this. Lilith. All right, we're going to get, like I said, this is going to be full on this video tonight. It's going to be about this, that, and everything else. So Lilith, I don't know how many people have heard of Lilith in the Bible, and I've heard it throughout the years and whatnot. And I also read another one of those from this library here, the Nag Hammadi Library. Okay, there's another book which talks about Sophia. It was basically Sophia is wisdom, right? There was the source, Father, and then there was Sophia, and wisdom, and it was that wisdom that created this. How do they say it? Sophia, the wisdom, created like the Elohim basically, and the lower archons, or the lower gods. And because she went against Father's will, she didn't ask him. She's just like, again, that pride. Oh, look what I can do. I'm awesome. And then she created him out of the darkness. And basically, once she created him, she was like, oh crap, I shouldn't have done that. So it says that she hid him in a cloud, and gave him a throne and everything like this. And this is why we'll just call him Satan for the sake of ease. This is why he had such a high, a high standard of himself, or he loved himself, whatever. But I think, because I've read so much, so forgive me if I get this wrong, but I think Lilith was the first wife of Eve, the first wife of Adam originally. And this goes along with, that's right, this goes along with Genesis 1, where it says down here, let us make humans in our image, in our likeness, males and females, he created them. So this is when Lilith was made. And the story goes that Lilith was, Adam was told that he was awesome, right, and he was number one, and that Lilith should submit to him. But Lilith was like, no, you and I are made from the same thing, we're both equal. And apparently, she didn't want to submit to him, all this kind of stuff. Now, the reason I bring Lilith up, because you might be like, oh, this is myth and legend, but it's in the Talmud, brothers and sisters, and the Jews talk about this, and it's actually in the Bible. Her name is actually in the Bible. So I want to show you this, okay? So I'm just going to read this little introduction about Lilith so we can get caught up here. The legend of Lilith has its root in the biblical book of Genesis, where two contradictory versions of creation eventually led to the concept of a first Eve. The first creation account appears in Genesis 1 and describes the simultaneous creation of both males and female beings after all the plants and the animals had already been placed in the Garden of Eden. In this version, man and women are portrayed as equal, and both are pinnacles of God's creation. The second creation story appears in Genesis 2. Here, man is created first and placed into the Garden of Eden to tend it. When God sees that he is lonely and all the animals are made as possible companions for him, finally the first woman, Eve, is created after Adam rejects all of the animals as partners. Hence, in this account, man is created first and woman is created last. These obvious contradictions present a problem for the ancient rabbis who believed that the Torah was the written word of God, and therefore it could not contradict itself. They therefore interpreted Genesis 1 so that it did not contradict Genesis 2, coming up with the ideas such as the androgyne and a first Eve in the process. Okay, amazing that word there, right? Androgyne, that's what I talked about in that creation story that I first read. According to the theory of a first Eve, in Genesis 1 refers to Adam's first wife, while in Genesis 2 refers to Eve, who was Adam's second wife. Eventually, this idea of a first Eve was combined with legends of female Lilu demons who are believed to stalk men in their sleep and prey upon women and children. However, the only explicit reference to Lilith in the Bible appears in Isaiah 34:14, which reads, "The wild cat shall meet with the jackals, and the satyr shall cry to his fellow. Ye, Lilith, shall repose there and find her place of rest." So if you go and have a look at Isaiah 34:14, click on all translations, because It's amazing. Look, we'll go there. Isaiah 34:14. Isaiah, hang on. Isaiah 34:14. Now I want to show you because, like the King James. Okay, the King James will say, the satyr shall cry to his fellow, the screech owl shall also rest there and find for herself a place of rest. Okay, so we're going to look at all English translations. And you can see here how many translations, write Lilith. So you've got here the AMP is Lilith. The CJB is Lilith. Just trying to see, there's quite a few. There's another one, ISV is Lilith. Okay, here's another one, LEB, Lilith. So you can have a look for yourself, okay? Okay, so why I bring Lilith up is because of the real thing against women, okay? And this is why I have a big problem with Paul. And I'm going to get to make a video about Paul, brothers and sisters, because I know a lot of people like, how can you say Paul? Because Paul wrote most of the New Testament. But brothers and sisters, when I make this video and I show you scripture after scripture after scripture of how opposite he is to Jesus' teachings, you'll really understand. And there's an agenda there, and it's the agendas like I've talked about before. The agenda of the Pauline, like today, we don't have Christianity from Jesus. We have Christianity, we have Paulianity, right? He gets quoted way more than Jesus does. Believe me, ask any Christian. Paul's writing gets referenced more than Jesus's words, and that's wrong, okay? But Paul has a big agenda against women. He does not like women to speak. He doesn't want them to teach. He doesn't want them to do anything. But look at Jesus's life. Who was the first people, who was the first person he talked to? Who was the first person who was there, when he resurrected? Who was the one was it a male or a female that was with him at the cross? You know what I mean? So, and Mary Magdalene, there was such a love there between them two. And I'm not going to go into whether they were in a relationship, whatever. That's beside the point. But what I'm trying to say is there's a big, and you can see it still today in this world, okay? And I'm not here to be all feminist and say this and that, but, I've had that verse thrown at me so many times. A woman shouldn't preach, and a woman shouldn't teach, and a woman shouldn't do this, and she should be quiet. And I mean, brothers and sisters, when your heart, okay, none of us are really male and female. We are spirit. We are the spirit children of our Father. And the Holy Spirit that resides within us wants to constantly praise the Father. Okay, and this is what we're doing. We're talking, we're learning, we're trying to come out of this trap so we can go home to Papa. Okay, so this is where I come from. Not because I'm a woman and I want to be heard and all this other crap, okay? But I know that there's a gender in the world to silence women, okay? Especially in religion. And I mean, when you have a look at the Jewish, when they read and study the Torah and the Talmud, and they have their, because I read the other day, it said that the Talmud shouldn't be read, it should be studied. So that's why you see all these Jews all day sitting outside, just basically yelling at each other and saying, no, this is what it means. And, it's constantly to keep them in a state of guessing, okay? But one of the big topics that they talk about, other than the law and things like that, is a women's place. okay, and how they have authority over it. So, anyway, so that's just a little bit more about Lilith and stuff like that. Now, the reason I brought this up is to go back up here, and because there's a verse here in 1 Timothy, okay, and it says, "A woman must learn in quietness and full submission. I do not permit a woman to teach or to assume authority over a man. She must be quiet. For Adam was formed first, then Eve, and Adam was not the one deceived. It was the woman who was deceived and became a sinner. But women shall be saved through childbearing." I mean, hallelujah. All right, we'll move on from that. Okay, it's a little bit more. Now, this is parts in the Talmud, okay, that talk about Lilith as well. So, this is the Hebrew, okay. This is where you can find it, the alphabet of Ben Sira, the alphabet of Ben Sira, alternative version 34, okay. He said to him, "The angels appointed for healing, blah, 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 when the Holy Blessed One created the first Adam alone, they said, 'It is not good for this Adam to be alone.' They created for him a wife out of the earth, like he had been." Okay? So this is completely different. They created for him a wife out of the earth like he had been, and called her Lilith. Immediately they began to challenge each other. She said, "I will not lie below." And he said, "I will not lie beneath you, but only on top. For you are fit only to be in the bottom position, while I am to be the superior one." This is in their Talmud. Okay, here's another one. Okay, this is awesome. Okay, this I had to, this is a little bit different, but I wanted to add this here and talk about this. Prayer too may become a lifesaver, i.e. may help a person to prevail in many critical encounters with the something and all the little demons in the air all around us. Prayer is unable to rise to heaven until one has first successfully battled with these negative forces abounding in this world. Our standard weapon against such forces are hymns of praise, which we recite daily in advance of those prayers which we beseech God to help us. This is all explained in detail at the beginning of the book called whatever. And then it says, the author explains that the word in the expression is not from the root song or music, but is from the word zama, as in you will prune. The forces of Satan will have to undergo pruning before our main prayers can find their way heavenwards. So, in other words, before we pray for brothers and sisters, we need to be singing. And this again comes down to the vibration, frequency, and sound. Okay? That's what's cracking. And straight away you think of a glass. You know, how they have those opera singers where they're like, oh, and they go such high pitch, and then they smash the glass. Well, how about we smash the ceiling? The glass ceiling that's covering us. Okay, the glass ceiling that's covering us. See, we need to sing praises, and this all has to do with being thankful, living in gratitude, praising, and being humbled, and living in light. Okay, all before we start, oh God, please give us this and give us that, and please do this and please do that. Because by singing and being in praise and worship, you are, you are resonating at a very, very high frequency. And this is what I suppose lets us go past that dividing ceiling, so to speak. And it always reminds me of this video I once watched of an atheist who said his job was to go into churches, be an infiltrator in churches, and as people are praying, he would sit there and cast like demonic spells and stuff like this. And basically he explained how prayers work. He said when a person prays, basically like a fire goes up and up and up and up. And so their job, the evil one's job, is to put a barrier so that the fire, the words cannot go any higher, okay? And then they will throw in distractions, so the phone ring, noise, whatever, and you get distracted and that fire comes back down and then you'll have to start all over again. A lot of people don't spend hours in prayer and praise and worship, right? So this is the battle that we're facing, brothers and sisters. But like I was saying at the beginning of this video, we are in a much better position now because that veil has been thinned. And when you think about it, when you think about, the saying as a flat earth and all that kind of thing goes, that, there's a dome, a firmament over us. Here's the thing, brothers and sisters, everything we've been told is a lie. And everything that we've been given an option for is just a distraction. Okay, so look at it this way. If the evil ones are the ones who actually created us and created our body host systems, right, that we could be trapped into, then it also makes sense that the way they created this earth to put a firmament over it or a dome, this is how I'm seeing how this reincarnation cycle, why this happens, why this whole, remember how we're talking about don't go into the light, because the first thing when a person passes, they go into the white light and then they see their loved ones, okay? Satan masquerades himself as an angel of light. Now think of it this way. You die, right? And your soul, not your spirit, but your soul goes up, and then it is met in the heavens, okay, in this firmament, in the heavens, because remember, Satan and his crew are the princes and principalities of the air, the heavens. Okay, so you go up to this heaven part, and then there's like this heaven slash whatever matrix up there that you see, and it's beautiful. And I mean, Satan can produce a feeling of love and ecstasy and bliss and all this kind of stuff. And then you get there and then they're like, your so-called passed on loved ones can come. I mean, this makes so much sense. Even in the prophecy of the 3 days of darkness, it says that you're going to hear your loved ones outside screaming and saying, please let me in. But the prophecy says, don't let them in, because that's demons masquerading as your loved ones. So I think what's happening is the same thing's happening. We're only reaching this firmament or this dome, right? And then this matrix of simulation of heaven is played out to us. And it said, and then you get your life review or whatever. And it says, you've done this and this bad, and you need to go down and fix it. Your job's not done yet. You need to do more things on earth, blah, blah, blah. And by your consent, which is our whole existence down here, is continuously giving them consent, because it's so hard to say no, we get, because we've said, all right, we'll go back down, because none of us know the power that we have to say, no, I do not consent. I want to go to the Father. We don't know, we don't realize that we've got this option until now. And this is the exciting part. This is the real exciting part. But anyway, so that's what I think happens. So we die, we go up to the firmament, the heaven, and this matrix heaven situation plays out. The life review comes on. We're told, you got to fix your karma. And realistically, the only reason why the evil one want us to continuously come back down here is because of the energy. Okay, that's what they feed on. Everything is energy. Everything, all of us, all of them. They feed off energy, right? And this is why they're pushing the fear. This is why they're pushing the rapture. This is why they're pushing the end of the world and all the horrible things that are going on in the world, okay? And we're not to look at it. Don't look at it. Don't watch it. Don't watch for the rapture, because it's only leading to fear, brothers and sisters. Fear and disappointment. That's the only two things the rapture is leading to. Because, people go, oh, Jesus must be coming back now because, these things that look like the mark of the beast is here. And people get excited, but they're terrified really underneath. You've got to come out of that, brothers and sisters. You've got to come out of that. This is my life mission now, to my last breath, to make you come out of her, my people, and just live in love and light and joy and happiness and gratitude and thankfulness and charitableness. That's all we've got to do. But yeah, so that's how I think this cycle has been played out. Okay, Satan was very smart to put that dome and firmament over. Okay, the waters above, that can be played out. I mean, look, for instance, the aeroplanes, the chemtrails and all that kind of stuff. The chemicals that the aeroplanes spit out are the same chemicals that they use in flat screen TVs. Okay, they're creating effectively a backdrop or a screen where they can project, and they do this now with their blue beam and holographic technology. What do you think they're doing up there in the sky with their satellites, their so-called satellites, and all their space technology that's up there? It's a whole Hollywood setup up there, right? And this is what's fooling us. But guess what? The veil has cracked. The veil has fallen, and now all of this is being revealed. And now, because the veil is so thin between heaven and earth, like I'm talking real heaven where Father is, this trap won't be able to stop us anymore. You know what I'm saying? This is the most exciting thing in the entire universe, to know that this trap is being dismantled and our shackles are coming off. All right. So I read that. Oh yes, this is the Gnostic reality, okay? So the true God, okay, the true God, the source, and the eons, okay? These are like the archangels, Michael, Father and his crew, basically, right? And then Sophia, which is like wisdom, and she created the demiurge, right? And the demiurge made the archons and humanity and the material world. Okay, that's basically in a nutshell how it is. Okay, next thing. All right, let's get in and watch some videos, and then I'm going to read my notes, which is probably going to take quite a while. And then we're going to look at a conversation that I had with my sister today. So we'll get into that. I'm just going to have a drink. Okay. So there's this wonderful thing going on at the moment. There's this guy named Terence Howard. Okay, Terence Howard was an actor who played in that series, I think, called Empire. He's in a bunch of other stuff. Brilliant actor, whatever. But this guy has just come out of nowhere for the last week on TikTok, and everything is about him. And the stuff that is coming out of his mouth is like a confirmation that I can't even fathom. Like, to everything that I've been looking at, this man literally seems to be sent by Father himself to open wide the constructs of this reality, and for us to all be able to understand. He's literally just come out of nowhere, and this is why, again, it proves to me that we're at the very end and all this knowledge is coming to pass right now. So I'm going to let you watch these videos. These are just clippets because he did a 3-hour show on the Joe Rogan podcast. So if you want to go and have a look at that, type in Joe Rogan, Terence Howard. Okay, and that's like for 3 hours. It will blow your mind. And I'm talking, brothers and sisters, this guy is changing the way we think about everything, even math. It seems to be that the mathematical applications that rule this earth and rule the heavens and all this stuff that we have known since the beginning of the creation of this world, they are all collapsing. And he talks about angles and how angles are, everything is just becoming obsolete, and now the curves. Look, I can't do this any justice, so let's just watch some videos. Okay, this one is, I've titled it Terence Howard, No More Angles. So let's watch this.
So Terence Howard is coming out. What he represents is the manifestation of the collective begging for a fucking change, and now here it is. So let's see what y'all do. But essentially what he's doing is putting an end to the mathematics that involve angles, because angles represent darkness. When the angels fell, we're talking about angles coming to earth and creating darkness, because angles move in darkness. Light moves in curves. This is documented in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. So what Terence Howard is talking about is mathematics regarding curves. This is crystal mathematics. The age of Platonic solids is over, because Platonic solids is all straight lines and angles. What he's referencing is crystal mathematics, and that is curves, sacred geometry, circles, etc. Light. So y'all pay attention to what's going on, and y'all explore this realm of thought, because this realm of thought is exactly what the collective needs. Think about this. Light moves in curves, angles move in darkness. Angels, the fallen angels, which happen to now be demons, brought you knowledge and information, and they brought you Platonic solids. They brought you the current mathematic system that we have now, and look what it has brought you.
Okay, so you may be like, what the? This is what I mean. You're going to have to go and have a look at this stuff yourself, brothers and sisters, but it makes so much sense. And remember when I took the photos of the sun, and, you can go back about 10 videos ago or so, I entitled What's Happened to Our Sun, or Sun Simulator or something like that. And I took a bunch of photos of the sun and took like the color contrast and saturation and all that, and you can legit see in the sun these straight lines and angles, and there's like a computer chip system behind, within the sun, and completely straight, completely full of angles, and it makes sense. Think about this. You were to hold up an angle, like a right angle, like this, the little picture here I've got, I don't know what they're called, not a compass, a square, whatever, and it will create a shadow. But if you take a circle or a sphere, the light travels around it, right? It's just amazing. And it's like everything we once knew now is like becoming obsolete. It's crazy to think about it, and it's going to take us a while to grasp this. Okay, it's going to take us a while to grasp this, but this is, let's just watch another one of his videos. Okay, so this is titled Terrified of the Moment Someone Realizes We Can Be Free. So this is what I was talking about before. When there's one crystallized structure, and it's never been there before, but it's finally created itself or whatever, then it's only going to be a matter of time when the second one comes, and it's going to be a shorter matter of time when the third one comes, and shorter again when the fourth, etc., etc., until And this is what's happening with us. Okay, the understanding, the open mind, the everything. Okay, so let's listen to this one.
In order to understand how important the next couple weeks are going to be for the entire human race, you got to watch this whole video. You got to hear me out. I'm not even asking you to outright believe everything I'm about to tell you. All I'm asking you to do is consider the possibility that it is true. Lately, I've been telling everyone to get as much Terence Howard as they possibly can, and there's a really good reason for it. If you haven't watched the Joe Rogan episode with Terence Howard, I highly recommend that you do. Watching that podcast and this video together are going to help you to tap into very deep truths about reality. Now, this is where it gets really meta. In the episode of Joe Rogan, Terence Howard talks about the morphogenetic field. It would take me hours to explain everything there is to know about this field. I'm just going to give you the clip notes that are absolutely important for you right now. If a particular crystalline structure has never formed on the Earth before, the chances that it will once are very low. But once it does form, just one time, the chance that it'll do it again increases exponentially. And it's not because the crystalline structure, the first one that forms, propagates more of them. It doesn't give birth to them. It doesn't duplicate itself. So there's no reason that the next crystalline structure of the same type should form any quicker than the first one did. But it does. And once that crystalline formation forms 2 times, the chances it'll do it a 3rd time is even better than the 2nd time. And you see an exponential curve of manifestation of a new structure. Now, it doesn't just work for structures. We're still talking about the morphogenetic field here. It also works with ideas. You may have heard about the numerous experiences that were proven over and over again that when they taught a particular species of animals in a certain locale, let's say on the mainland of Africa, if they taught them a certain new behavior, like teaching monkeys how to use sticks to get termites or teaching a crow about water displacement, members of the same species on other areas like islands and even other continents would pick up the behavior spontaneously. This is the same reason that when that first crystalline structure forms, it gives rise for the ability for that crystalline structure to form again and again at an exponential rate. Have you heard the story about the first person who ran the 4-minute mile? Before they did it, it was thought to be humanly impossible to run the 4-minute mile. Our bodies just couldn't do it. Luckily, there was a guy who didn't believe that. And he trained and he trained and he trained. And eventually he ran the 4-minute mile. And after he ran the 4-minute mile, 2 weeks later, somebody else did. What changed from when they thought it was humanly impossible to when many people started doing it? Nothing, except everyone started to believe it was possible. Human physiology didn't change, or maybe it did. Maybe the belief that we could do it actually changed our bodies. Or maybe we had a little mental limiter in our brain that stopped our bodies, stopped our muscles from being as strong as they could be. Hearing Terence Howard out and everything that he has to say will open up new areas of your mind. It will take all those limiters off. You will start to see the world in a new and expanding way. This is why they put so much terror and stress into the internet and the media and everywhere they possibly can, because they are terrified of the moment that someone gets the idea that they can be free, that they deserve all the knowledge and wisdom that is available in the world, because once one person truly believes it, it'll be much quicker for the second person. When you start getting 2, 3, 4, 5, that exponential curve will turn the whole world over. And that's what they're truly terrified of. And people like Terence Howard are people that are helping to turn that world over in the right direction. You can't even imagine how fast the liberation will happen. All you have to do is open your mind, open your ears, and believe in a new possibility. What's happening right now is going to make the enemy very desperate. So I predict that they're going to do something real wild in the next couple of weeks. We need to stay calm, to stabilize, to ignore them, to refuse them, and stay on the path where we all become enlightened, the path where we build a new world that is for everyone. They're going to be kicking and screaming in the corner. We have to ignore them.
I mean, This resonates with me so much, brothers and sisters. So I hope you can hear that properly. And I just wanted to point out a couple of things that he said in there. You know, they did an experiment where they were teaching animals, like he said, you know, in South Africa, like teaching the monkey to use a stick to get termites out, you know, of the termite mound or whatever. And then the same species on another continent so simultaneously picked up how to do that. Brothers and sisters, we've been lied to so much, and all of this stuff has been demonized. So Christians and, you know, Christians, which are the majority of the world, would not look into it or would not be open-minded enough to it. And you've got to understand, first and foremost, that none of this is a blasphemy against the Father, is a blasphemy against the Son. If anything, it's our Father allowing us to see the power that his Son gave us. The Father wants us to come home, but because he's just and because he's fair and because he has free will, this all has to play out. Everything is the way it should be. Everybody played their part, including Judas. Everything happens and everything is the way it should be. And once you realize that, you can take a deep breath and you can really live in peace. The truth will absolutely set you free. Jesus talks about these things so much. This is why he talks in parables, because it was only for the wise to understand. Okay, Jesus himself said, let the eyes are the window to your soul. Let your eyes be single. What is the only eye that is single? It is your pineal gland. It's your internal secret place. Okay, when we're still and we let Father speak and we let the Holy Spirit move us, and when we're open to things, when we're closed off to everything because we think it's demonic or whatever, no wonder we haven't gone anywhere through centuries, and we've been under the footstool of the enemy for so long. But now, I mean, Father and Jesus must be like dancing around in bliss up in heaven, you know, up in the 7th or the 10th heaven, wherever they are. They must be so incredibly excited. The angels must be rejoicing beyond rejoicing, for the time is drawing near that we're going home. We're going home, brothers and sisters. So don't be scared of all this stuff. This is absolutely fantastic. Okay, this is the end of mathematical constructs. This is brilliant. This is what I was talking about before, the end of mathematical constructs. The whole world is changing, even math. This is brilliant.
This quantum discovery has some physicists saying that it virtually proves we're trapped in a simulation. Quantum entanglement is where particles communicate instantly across vast distances, and this destroys material reality as we know it, because for communication, signals have to travel from point A to point B. But this instant communication, which is impossible in the physical world, is similar to how video games work, where altering the code can change parts of the game regardless of the location. But there's a problem with simulation theory known as infinite regress. If we're in a simulation, who's simulating the simulators? Instead, there's another theory even more radical. Our universe isn't based on computer code on some alien hard drive, it's actually a grand mathematical code that generates a collective dream reality. This is what philosophers like Plato and Pythagoras believed. If you become lucid in a dream, you can change things in the dream instantly, just by thinking about it. Mathematical laws create the illusion of a physical world, but really it's all a mental construct created by our own collective mental mathematical frequencies. We're not trapped in a simulation, we are the simulation, creators of our own reality through the universal language of math.
Okay, so, all right, truth. Okay, let's go to this one. This is the Essenes, the true way of Jesus. Now, this is awesome. You really need to have a look at the book. I don't know, I haven't looked into it because I've been doing so much other study, but the Gospel or the book of the Essenes. This is what Jesus truly was. He was an Essene, right, a Nazarene. And these people had the original truth. They have such a beautiful truth of the way before it got called Christianity. And so, yeah, let's have a look at this one.
There is a true way of Jesus. It's not that Christianity is not true, it's that it's actually way more true than even Christians realize. There's much deeper symbolism in the crucifixion, resurrection of Christ. What does it mean to be resurrected in Christ? There's so much gold there. There is a true way of Jesus, and it's the Essene way. It's perfectly laid out in these texts and perfectly resonates, not even 85 or 90%, but 100% with the person of Jesus we all know and love. In the Gospels, we say there must be a true path of this man in the red letters. What is the way? And I'm so grateful the universe brought the Essenes not only back on my radar, but bringing them back to the world's radar, because it is the true way of Jesus. And I think that that's what everyone is really hungering for.
Amen. I know I definitely am. The true ways of Jesus. Jesus' words only. All right. The truth of the garden.
I may have actually found the secret to the entire Bible, and I don't think I'm overselling it by stating this. Hey, my name is Cub. I explore the supernatural every single day. It's my goal to raise up new earth leaders by connecting them to each other so that we can unlock these sacred mysteries for all of humanity. So in the Garden of Eden, we have multiple deities. We know that if we read the ancient Hebrew mythology and even the pre-Hebrew mythology back to the Sumerian mythos dealing with Enki and Enlil, or what the Hebrew Bible calls the Elohim. One of these Elohim wanted to keep humanity in the Garden of Eden because they were essentially using them for the purpose of procreating a very specific genetic line of humans intended to do the work of, or the service, or the worship of the gods. For the record, when I say the gods, I'm not talking about the all-pervading supreme being, or what the Hindu refers to as the Brahman. I'm not talking about God-sourced fractal reality that holds together all things. I'm talking about little g gods, the little Elohim, the little Anunnaki, or the Anuna gods, those that came from the heavens and stepped out of another realm to create in this lower vibratory realm. Genesis chapter 2, verse 9, it says, "And the tree of life was in the center of the garden, as well as the tree of the knowledge of good and evil." Now remember the serpent, or Enki, the one who told the truth, because they surely were not unalive that day. They were just kicked out of the garden, right? So as we know, Enki, or the serpent, was telling the truth, and they get kicked out of the garden. Now, what if the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is actually the tree of duality? Because now that we know good from evil, it's the idea that we can create in a dualistic world using these opposing forces, or seemingly opposing forces. But what if the tree of life is actually the flower of life, or the esoteric concept that there are no straight lines, things are always connected in arcs, hence the higher truths, or the archangels, as things arc and connect in the light, whereas the regular angles are held in darkness at the center, or the regular angels, the fallen angels. Now think about this. The fallen angels ultimately lead back to the truth of the higher arcs. And this battle between these ideologies has been going on since, well, the Garden of Eden.
Okay, these videos must be blowing your mind. I know they sure did me. Now, this is an interesting one. This is fleas do not jump higher than their lid. Now, the reason I want to show you this is like way off subject, but just because we're in the subject of how I was talking before about us being in a dome, and we are not able to go past that dome, and this is what that reincarnation trap cycle is. We go up there, and we can't break through that ceiling, but there's some kind of heaven matrix simulation that gets played there and we get spat out and this happens all over again. So this is why this is interesting, this video here, because it effectively says the same thing but just with fleas.
Fleas are placed inside the jar, undisturbed for 3 days. Then, when the jar is opened, the fleas will not jump out. In fact, the fleas will never jump higher than the level set by the lid. Their behaviour is now set for the rest of their lives.
Well, I guess we're not so different from fleas then, are we? We're taught from childhood to outsource our power to experts and to always trust and believe whatever we're told, because we can't possibly know as much as an expert, can we? Even the word expert is a mind control tactic. No one is an expert in anything, and if anyone tries to tell you what to think rather than how to think, you are being indoctrinated rather than educated. There is no point where someone arrives at final knowledge of anything. The universe is an endless mystery, and we can only strive to increase our knowledge, but never to complete it. And so true wisdom is to know how truly ignorant you are, and that the greatest master is the eternal student. So in a world of experts feeding you misinformation at every turn, the only remedy is to stop outsourcing your power to anyone, especially those labeled as experts. Instead, adopt an attitude of open-minded skepticism about everything, and don't instantly believe anything that you're told, but investigate for yourself and do your own research. Let reason, empiricism, and reality itself show you what is true, and avoid anyone pretending like they have all the right answers. In other words, don't seek to answer questions, but seek to question answers.
That is so brilliant, and I absolutely 100% agree. You know, don't even believe what I'm saying, but be open-minded, brothers and sisters, to if something sparks your interest and you're like, no way, that can't be right, go and look for yourself, brothers and sisters. I mean, I am only just a vessel, just, you know, saying these things and sharing my journey with you guys because I love you, and, you know, but I like he said, none of us know anything. We're continuously learning, but the exciting thing is that we're at that stage now where it's so much more easier to learn, but you've got to take control of your mind and allow it to be open, because if you don't, and if you're just like, nah, what the pastors, what the preachers, what the Sadducees and Pharisees of the modern day have told me, that's what I'm going to believe, you know. But yeah, so like I said, I don't know if you caught the beginning of that, but they took a bunch of fleas, they put them in a glass jar and shut the lid and left them there for 3 days. And so within that 3-day period, the fleas were only jumping as high as the lid. And then they took the lid off and the fleas didn't even jump out, because within 3 days they learnt their level. Okay, that was all that they were programmed to, jump that high and that no more. Okay, they found their ceiling, so to speak, and this is why I think it aligns so very much with, you know, how we are at the moment, why we've been trapped here, because we haven't got any further than our ceiling. Okay, so 1 hour and 23 minutes. Oh, it's not too bad. All right. So we did that. We did my word program. All right, let's have a look at my notes. All right, so my notes. My notes are going to be here, there, and all over the place. So I'm just going to read them to you. Let's get on a nice background while I rant on here. Okay. So some nice pictures of heaven there. We'll go, hopefully it's a nice big one, something nice to look at while I'm ranting on. Okay, so in the Hindu religion, there's a thing called moksha. Okay, moksha is the end of the reincarnation cycle. And, you know, he was talking about how people have come up to him and said, what happens when, at the end of moksha? And, you know, people are freaking out that they're going to cease to exist, that there's nothing more after that at the end of these reincarnation cycles. And he explained that the moksha means the end of the delusion regarding who you are and what is the nature of this reality. You gain your purity, your majesty, your dignity, and you gain your true individuality. So, brothers and sisters, what's coming is not the end. It is the end of this tyrannical prison planet captivity system, yes, but it is the very beginning. Just take a moment. It is the very beginning of our forever eternity, and no more of this hellhole that we've been living and fighting through and going through traumatic experiences and being abused and being hurt and people murdering, and no more of that is soon to come, brothers and sisters. Okay, so my next note here is I seen a video the other day, pictures of Jesus's crucifixion, but the people all around Jesus's crucifixion all had Renaissance clothing on. And this comes again with the timeline deception. Okay, and there's many, many hundreds of paintings of the crucifixion being in the era where they're wearing Renaissance clothing. And it just makes you think, brothers and sisters, that maybe we haven't been here as long as we thought we have, and maybe, I did watch a video the other day, a while back, and it was talking something about this is our fourth reincarnation cycle. Okay, so, it says in Daniel's that he thinks to change times and laws. Now, if anyone's in control of times and laws, then, you can make it seem like we've been here for 6,000 years or, and in the end, it doesn't really matter. What matters is we can now see that we're at the end of this cycle, and that's awesome. Okay, my next note, I said, when you leave this body, you are greeted by eons that show you your life. And you are really left with only... when you leave this body, you are greeted by archons, that show you your life, and you are really left with only one choice: to come back and rectify the suffering you caused on earth. So in other words, if you to say you murdered somebody and then you died, and then you went up to this, this top of this firmament and had this experience of seeing your life in review, and they're like, you've murdered someone, you've caused great pain to them and their family and whatever. You need to go back down and you need to rectify and fix those things. And that's the trap, brothers and sisters. That is the trap. Jesus himself said everything is forgiven. Even blaspheming against the Son and the Father is forgiven. But if you blaspheme against the Holy Spirit, that is unforgivable sin. So, this is that trap. And Jesus, the whole love law with Jesus, that he did away with everything of the old covenant, of the old Yahweh law. And Jesus came to show us the new, wonderful love law, which is in Matthew 5. That is the key. That is the key that will take you out of this trap, out of this cycle, is to do it now, is to live in love, light, harmony, charitability, and gratitude. And you can fix this now, brothers and sisters, so that if your time comes to an end now in this life, you're right, you're good to go. You're going to break through that ceiling and you're going to be with Papa and Jesus, okay? But you need to do this now. These are the things that you need to do today, right this moment, from now on, is live in love. It is so important. It is so important. When I say this, I always think about, people like Christians will say, people say God is only love, but they don't realize that God is, is a God of judgment and vengeance. And see, this is the horrible thing, that linking the Old Testament God, Yahweh, with our loving Father in heaven, because our loving Father in heaven is pure love, okay? Is pure love, is pure light. This is why it makes a very big, this is why it makes it very obvious that in Genesis 1, when there was darkness and a formless world, and there was complete darkness, why it makes absolute sense that that was not our Father in heaven, because wherever our Father in heaven is, would be pure light. There'd be no reason to say, let there be light. Okay? All right, so James 5:19-20. Brethren, if any of you do err from the truth, and one converts him, let him know that he which converteth the sinner from the error of his ways shall save a soul from death, and shall hide a multitude of sins. And 1 Peter 4:8, and above all things have fervent charity among yourselves, for charity shall cover the multitude of sins. Brothers and sisters, this is gold here. This is gold. This is what will set you free, set your soul, set your spirit, everything free. Okay? Love, happiness, kindness, and charitability. Okay, so my next note. A lot of the time people want to come back is due to ego. Okay, due to ego. Now, this may be a little bit far out for a lot of people, but there's this guy, and he, as soon as I use this word, I know people are going to be like, but this guy, he channels this particular, I don't want to say entity, but that's effectively what it is, named Bashar, okay? Now, I've been watching him for last year. I watched a bit of it, and it resonated with me, but because of my indoctrination, I was like, no, this can't be right. But now, as I've watched this again with open mind and open heart, I always get brought back to the Bible verse where the disciples come up to Jesus and says, hey, this fella over here is healing people and casting out demons in your name, but he's not one of us. And Jesus said, surely anybody who does a miracle in my name, nothing bad will happen of that. And same with the saying, a good tree cannot produce bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot produce good fruit. So we don't understand nearly half of the truth of what's really out there, brothers and sisters. But with that being said, this guy channels this otherworldly person named Bashar, and he says, basically, he takes the stress away of us feeling like we have to constantly please and bend over backwards and do all these things and constantly work for everything, to feel good enough. And he says, in the morning and at night time before you go to sleep, say this to yourself: I am what I am and I am enough. Say it 3 times. I am what I am and I am enough. I am what I am and I am enough. And I was just like so touched and blown away by that simple little mantra or whatever you want to call it, because it is so true. You are enough, brothers and sisters. You are who you are. You're meant to be here. You're meant to be here for a time such as this. You're meant to be listening to this right now, and you are enough. And our words are so important. And in the scriptures, like I always want to back everything up with the scriptures so that you know that I'm not just grasping at straws here. But, you know, it says, don't judge a man on what he eats and what he drinks, because they go into the mouth and come out the other side. But it's what comes out of a man, you know, what he speaks, that comes from a man's heart. Okay, so it's so important. You know, they say that a bully, a person who is a bully, and those people who go around calling people names and are mean to people, your subconscious apparently doesn't know that you're saying this to someone else, and so it reflects it back onto themselves. And this is why bullies are always depressed and always continuously mean, because every mean thing they've said is coming back into themselves and feeding their own selves, okay? And it makes so much sense. Okay, so my next note is the karma trap. Hence why Jesus speaks to love our enemies, okay? Cheek for cheek. And that's what I was saying before. They guilt us to keep us in this prison. Okay, so this is the simple thing. If we just live in love, we love everybody. You know, if someone's mean to us, we still love them, because they're still in this captivity, and that's why we've got to love them, because it's a hard prison to break out of. You know. My next note: Jesus didn't need to incarnate as a baby, as he already had mastered the time travel or the astral travel. So this was an amazing revelation, because as you know from my previous videos, I was saying another linkage that they did was, like, again with Satan saying, well, if I can't beat him, then I'll join him. So what does he do? He links on the Old Testament by saying that Jesus is the descendant of David, right? And this is exactly what Revelation does as well. It says that Jesus holds the keys of David. It's not... Jesus came down as a 30-year-old, okay? He incarnated into this earth, and because of his frequency of being Father's son, okay, he's got a perfect frequency. He can come and go, okay? There is no prison trap for him. There is no, entrapment, all that kind of stuff. He can come and go as he needs to, and this is why he came. And you'll see that every, Mark and Luke, I'm not sure, completely sure about Luke, but Mark, the book of Mark, which is the first one that's written, straight away starts Jesus' gospel on when John the Baptist baptized Jesus, okay? That's when Jesus just appears, okay? He doesn't come as a little baby born out of a woman's private parts, and, you know, like I said, with the water hovering over Mary, or the spirit hovering over Mary. That's just trying to link. And this is what the book of John does. This is why I'm sus on John. Because John, the very first thing in John is, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and God was the Word. This is linking to Genesis 1. Okay, in the beginning was Elohim. I hope you see what I'm saying. Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Okay? Everything else, you take out the meat and spit out the bones. Okay, so like I said, Jesus didn't need to incarnate as a baby, brothers and sisters. He already had a mission. He came down, he got baptized, and he was a representation of the Father and what the will of the Father is. And, and that was his mission. That's why, and he showed us, this is why it says he's the author of faith, because Jesus had to go through all of it and have the faith and show us we can all have that same faith, that even in death, it's okay, because there's no such thing as death. It's sleeping, as Jesus said. Why are you crying? Why are you weeping? He's not dead, he's just asleep. Okay? So, it's absolutely incredible. So, my next note, the firmament is a prison door which many have been trapped with. The guides or the powers of heaven will masquerade as loved ones or Jesus, or any like if you You know, if you're a Hindu or whatever, you know, you may see whoever the Hindu god is or whatever like that. It's all scripted to your, you know, if you don't believe, then you're going to see your mum or your dad that's passed, etc., right? And Jesus himself said, if anyone says Jesus is here or he's there, follow them not. Okay? Follow them not. Now the veil and the firmament is thinning and the souls are able to cross through easier, and we need to resonate a higher frequency to push through these prison walls. The Jews say that there needs to be singing of praises first before you pray, as the singing frequency allows your prayers to break through the ceiling. So, and then I wrote that example of the glass when you have a high-pitched singing voice and it breaks the glass. All right, the next note. Sirius, okay? The Sirius star. I watched this video and it said Sirius used to be, or still is, the planet where humanoids used to reside. And Sirius is in Virgo, okay? And that's the Virgin, okay? And it used to be called Aviv. This used to be the Jews' in the Old Testament was the first month, the Passover month, was the month of Aviv, all right? And that got changed to Sirius, okay? So Terence Howard, again, said everything expands as a spear. No spear in our universe or no bubble has ever had a solid core. He believes that the Elohim used CERN on their planet and popped their planet, like popped the bubble, right? And it became the asteroid belt. I mean, you have to go, like I said, you have to go to Joe Rogan's podcast with Terence Howard, and he explains it. So basically he's saying that, you know, the asteroid belt that we have between Jupiter and Mars, he's saying that there used to be a planet there where humanoids were, okay? And the powers that be on that planet, they had a device like CERN, okay, the Large Hadron Collider, and they used it for nefarious purposes and ended up popping this planet, okay, which therefore became the asteroid belt, okay. I know this sounds trippy, but go and see it from his perspective, because I can't do it any justice. But it resonates with me because, you know, a lot of us say, oh, I live within my own little bubble, okay, and, you know, they have the theory of hollow earth. And now that we're learning about, you know, the possibility of angles and math and everything being wrong, and, you know, that we live in a bubble. I mean, think about the bubble. You know, we see the rainbow, like here, you know, the refractions of light and, you know, how everything can... the reflections of the sun and the sundogs and all these types of things. And I just wrote here, I live in my own bubble, and just like everything else, like, for instance, Trump being the Antichrist or being the good guy, it depends which side you're on, right? The globe and the flat earth is all a psyops, and it's all scripted narrative to keep us divided. Neither of them are true, brothers and sisters. It's all a simulation. And this is what I'm understanding. This is what I was trying to say about Trump last time. You know, because for years I was like, Trump's the Antichrist, Trump's the Antichrist. Other people are like, how can you say that against Trump? You know, he's done so many good things. And then realizing all this truth now, that yes, we probably do live in a bubble, and it is round, and there is no more, and the time of the angles and the solids is over and obsolete. And now we're moving into this reality where maybe this is the creation of the new heavens and the new earth. We don't know. We don't know if this is how it's going to be played out. But what I'm saying is all this dividing of, you know, I'm a glober or I'm a flat earther, and And it's just a big distraction so that we're mingling between ourselves and having these stupid fights when the reality is it's all a simulation, and it's all, none of that matters. You know what I mean? None of that matters. Then I just wrote it here, there's a part in, I'm not sure what book it's in, but it says God chastises those he loves. I mean, come on. What parent says I punish my children when I love, because I punish I punish the children I love because I love them, I punish them because I love them. I mean, come on now. So these are the bones that I'm talking to spit out, right? My next note here is those that die in fear will attract a possible reincarnation. Those that die in love and understanding will break through the firmament barrier, the trap, and go to Father and Source. Okay, next note. Eternal soulmates always reincarnate together. And when one dies, that soul has learnt to be alone, whereas the other one that is left is sad, angry, lonely, etc., and still needs to learn how to be happy alone. And, Jesus talks about this when the Jews were saying, if a woman marries this guy and then he dies and then she marries his brother and he dies and then she marries the next brother, in the resurrection, whose wife will she be? Whose wife will she be out of all the brothers that died? And Jesus said, in the resurrection, you'll be like angels and you won't marry. This means that we are going to be completely, perfectly okay to be ourselves and our individual selves. And we don't need to rely on another person. It's just so beautiful and so perfect, brothers and sisters. It's going to be so fantastic, and we have nothing that's going to ever hold us back again. We want to go from place to place. We just have to think, and the constant learning for eternity. Just take a look at this picture on the screen. This is just an artist's concept. And then it says in the scriptures that, your mind and your heart cannot even perceive or comprehend what's in store for you. You can't even conceive or comprehend what's in store for us, brothers and sisters. It's going to be absolutely wild. Okay, my next note, the Pharisees. Oh, and sorry, just on that eternal soulmates thing and being perfect in being alone, Jesus also says, whoever loves their mother, their father, or child more than me is not worthy of me. This came straight to my spirit when I wrote that note about, eternal soulmates. Once we are okay to be on our own and have the perfect company. Oh, look, we all get lonely. I get lonely sometimes, but, the company that I have and the presence of the Father and the Son and all this work that I'm doing is such a complete satisfaction that I don't need that anymore. And I think that's where we're supposed to get to, that we're seeking the kingdom of heaven first, and we find absolute, pleasure and bliss in this kind of stuff. Okay, so my next note, the Pharisees weren't able to enter, so they forbid the rest of us not to enter into as well. This is the plan, to keep us into captivity. Jesus gave us all power. We simply must believe and have no doubt. Absolutely. Next note, interesting to look and see if there is any really happy, loving people that have gone through a near-death experience, or if it's just an experience for like people who are not fully, sort of lukewarm Christians or atheists or low vibrating people. Because it would be interesting, and this is a note for myself, that I want to look into people, if there is any near-death experiences where people, were really happy and everything and really kind and generous, whatever, and then they died. If they've had near-death experiences, because I don't think so. I think that gives them the key to just go straight back home to Papa, you know. Next note, after Jesus' resurrection, many bodies of the saints which slept arose, came out of their grave, went to the holy city and appeared to many. Okay, so Jesus himself went to the belly of the earth where the souls slept, right? And he freed them from that captivity of the Yahweh law and the captivity of this trap. So straight away they entered into the holy city. There was no like middleman, whatever, mid-flights, you know, stop-offs or anything like that. It was straight home to Papa, because Jesus himself, the highest frequency that we have, he told them the truth. He set them free, and they came out of the graves. They were ready to go because their frequency was so high the graves couldn't even hold them, brothers and sisters. Whew. Okay, last page here. This is one on 2 Thessalonians, I think. That day will not come until there is a revolt or a rebellion. Okay, because I know it says in King James, the falling away. Okay, the day of Christ will not come until there's a falling away. But in a lot of the other ones, it says a revolt or a rebellion. Now, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is happening right now. Because I know the word rebel has a negative connotation, but it's exactly what we're doing. We're rebelling against the system, okay? Rebelling against the system. And I'm wondering if this is what this verse is, that the day of Christ will not come until there is a collective rebellious spirit to turn away from what we've been told and to have our minds and ears and eyes opened, okay? Because you think about, the apostasia or the falling away. Does that just mean the apostasia that the church has given us? Because the church has given us an apostasy, a false truth, and we're rebelling, right, against it and revolting against it. Okay, so again with the angles, my next note, the angles, which is the darkness and angels, the fallen angels, right? Into a new reality of the curve, the bubble, hollow earth, no solid core. Remember the pandemic that we had? What was the saying? Stop the curve. Okay, we've got 2 weeks to stop the curve. This is right at the beginning, right, in 2020. We've got 2 weeks to stop the curve. I just had to put that down because I was like, this is amazing. Okay, so when people say, I know I've said this, when I've been, in my younger years, I said, who said that 1 + 1 = 2? It could be 1 + 1 = 4 or 3. Who made that rule? Like, I just questioned everything. Still do. Okay, so this Terence Howard fella is saying that 1 × 1 = 2. And I know this is like, nah, this guy's a lunatic, he's a maniac. How can that even be possible? But this is why I need you to go and see his, his podcast with Joe Rogan, because the way he explains it makes absolute perfect sense. Because when you time something, it has to be more. It has to multiply. And the whole law of physics and mathematics seems to be crumbling and falling down now. And I wrote, because the old system of math and physics is becoming obsolete. Now it's quantum physics, okay? And when one thing is created, then the next one and the next one, etc., just like us waking up. The evil ones are terrified of us waking up because the awakening will pick up such speed and momentum they won't be able to stop it. And next note is Never Ending Story, that movie. That's just the reincarnation story, the never ending story. All right, so those are my notes. Now my last thing I want to share with you is my notes, my conversation that I had with my sister Linda today. And I've asked her if I can share the conversation today. Sorry this video is so long, but I need to get this all out, otherwise I won't be able to sleep. Okay, so I'm just going to try and start from the beginning. Okay, basically also to this Terence Howard, he's got the patent for time travel. It's just absolutely, mate, you really need to go and see this guy. Okay. Where's this? Okay, so first, basically I sent her a TikTok about these collaboration of children talking about reincarnation, and they're like, only 4 or 5 years old, and talking about reincarnation. And then I showed her the one about the bubble, and I'm like, yes, this resonates with me so much, the bubble. How often do we say, I live in my own bubble? This is exactly what I was saying about Trump. It seems to be that all the things are scripted narratives to divide us through lies like flat earth and the globe earth, which neither of them then are true. And Linda's like, I totally agree, divide and conquer, technique, a military strategy. I wrote, exactly, our sister last night and this morning have been incredible for understanding. I'm so excited to do another video. Linda says, it seems we're under control. We know this, mind, body and spirit. I'm excited as well, Rebecca. We are getting loads of understanding. The psychic, yours, mine, is never wrong. Bring on the next video. And then she shared a video. Then I just wrote, interesting though, because I heard the other day that the act of activism, when you go out and be, what's the word, activism? Yeah. Protesting and stuff, is a very low negative vibration. Okay, so this is why we shouldn't, turn the other cheek, love one another. We shouldn't be out protesting and all this kind of stuff, okay? So it's hard to know whether we stand up or fight or do as Jesus said and turn the other cheek. Is everything the way it should be, or can we change it? Linda wrote, sorry, I meant we use our moral compass. We don't fight. We just stand and say no. One of the hardest things to say is no. I wonder why. I said, that's so true. And she said, I still struggle with the narrative of a son being sent to be sacrificed on behalf of us. It's a ritual with all the gory stuffing. I actually think Jesus' loving teachings only not the perverted teachings from translations of his word. The only way to distinguish truth is that even through Satan is powerfully intelligent and can create, he can't do love. He tied a rose with thorns. He tried a rose with thorns. That's so true. And I said, agreed. This is why I'm sus on the book of John and Paul's writings, because through them we have this infatuation of sacrifice, because they are trying to link the old with the new. And in brackets I wrote, LOL, I just thought of Jesus' parable, the old and the new wineskins. I think Jesus did die, but it was to win the trap over the death cycle, reincarnation. It wasn't Father who required it from his Son. I think that's just a blame shift from the ones who murdered him. But it was necessary to show humanity what can be accomplished through faith and love. Jesus' mission was to break the soul trap, or the karma trap, by giving us the love law and to not desire the world. Once we learn these things, we'll be able to cross over to Papa, no problems. And then my sister was like, now I have something to share. An experience from my ketamine experience. I met my guide through the therapist's music selection he played. The list held frequency I have loved for over 30 years. This beautiful guide took me to my beginnings in a cave, etching a story on the cave walls. I stopped still and read my story. I cried tears of joy and beauty at my beautiful story, untainted, by any other forces. But before that, I was walking like an Egyptian, laughy face. I saw my Egyptian body laid out. It was explained that we did it this way because we knew life is eternal. See, you came back from the future to see yourself, Rebecca, just wow. Now that is love eternal, love thyself. And I wrote, wow, wow, wow. I'm literally listening to a parallel universe video as we're chatting, and she was explaining exactly what you just wrote now. And then I wrote, interesting that you say that you were an Egyptian, because this revelation came to me a few weeks back, that this is why our names were written in the book of life from the creation of this world. Almost as if it is our sealed covenant to be assured that we can experience lifetimes and know we will still go home in the end. This reminds me of the verse, we are sealed to the day of our redemption. Just thinking now, this is why I've never wanted to manifest lots of money. I think it's a trap, as the evil ones know that manifesting is real, but they want you to manifest things of low vibration, so as to keep you here over and over again, because it's very rare that you hear of these people who manifested lots of money becoming charitable and giving it all away. We were not to desire the things of this world. You cannot serve two masters, either you love one or hate the other. You cannot serve God and man/money. And then I said, do you mind if I share this conversation? And she said, yes. And I wrote, this is amazing. They are terrified of us waking up. And Sister wrote, it's too late, Rebecca, game over, with a laughy face. And I said, I second that. It's going down here. And then I just shared a couple of humorous comedy videos with my sister, because it's good to take a break and just have a good laugh. And I was like, I wrote, I know, right? I'm floating at the moment with all this info. And I was thinking about how fast and how quick the momentum is now of revelations. And I'm sure you'll agree, you're probably like, wow, this is happening super speed. And I'm like, oh my, this just landed on my spirit. For the sake of the elect, I will shorten the time. So we're currently in this timeline, this time warp at the moment of the shortening of time, the increase of knowledge, and the book's been unsealed, right? And she wrote, yes, correct. I'm feeling the dark ones are in the death throes, and it's very ugly for them. Love is very, very powerful when used correctly. And I wrote, I truly understand now. You and another sister and two brothers who I communicate with more than anyone else were absolutely kindred, next of kin spirits. I can't wait to meet you all and realise we've known each other forever. She said, beautiful. Yes, and so that's the end of the conversation, basically. I just wanted to share that because some good revelations just came. And you know, I do really appreciate, you know, everybody's mission. You know, everybody, what they send articles and links and videos and write me emails and tell me about different things. You know, I appreciate you all, because without you guys, I couldn't have done a lot of this stuff. And, you know, you give me the little, you give me the outer parts of the puzzle, and then, you know, I try and go and find the rest of them. But, you know, I really super appreciate you. I love you. And I know that all of us, you know, we're going to be home soon, and we're going to know each other. As soon as this mask and everything comes off us, brothers and sisters, we are going to realise that we've all known each other all along. And this is going to be such a wonderful experience. And it's without words to even describe it. So I'm pretty sure I've told you everything that I wanted to tell you in this video tonight. It's like 11 o'clock now. But I'm happy and satisfied that I got all of that out, and I hope it gives you something to think about. And, please continue with emails and just please don't expect big, massive emails back from me because, like I always say, forever trying to write back to people so that I don't feel like I'm ignoring them. But some people just ask so many questions, and it's just, it's full on. But I still love you. Still do it. Still ask. And, if I feel led to, then I will try and get back and give you a more in-depth response and whatnot. But yeah, with what else did I want to say before I go? I just wanted to give thanks to my beautiful brothers and sisters who help support with my homeless ministry. I just wanted to let you know a cool thing today that happened. I received a donation this morning or last night, and it just came in absolute perfect timing because here in Australia, especially where I am, not especially, but here in Australia, we're going into winter now, and the nights and mornings are freezing, like it's freezing for us. And basically, us feeding the homeless over the year, over the past year, we've seen in summer, and, it sucks that they're outside, but the summer's been so hot. But now that it devastates me that people, it's such an easy solution. We've got so many vacant buildings here where I live because it floods here. And, not all the time, but every 10 years or so. But a lot of businesses are like fed up. They're like, no, I'm not going through this again. So there's so many vacant buildings. And all it would take is for, a couple of security guards, but, that could monitor and all this kind of thing. And these people could sleep inside a building, just mattresses on the floor. They could go there from 9 to 7 in the morning, whatever, just sleep. And there could be a shower and a toilet there, whatever, maybe a breathalyzer so you can't go in there when you're drunk or all those kind of things. But how simple, how simple would that be? But anyway, I just want to just share a little special story because my beautiful sister who donated this morning, so I'm coming back from picking up the kids from school, and I've noticed there's a guy that's like right on the edge of our roundabout, and he's sort of staying out the front of one of these abandoned buildings because there's like the sun stays there the whole day, and he's got a trolley and he's got his blanket, and he just, I've seen him sometimes when I've gone into town at night, like lying there, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't even fathom. But anyway, so I just because of my sister's donation today, I went and thought, you know what? Because when I picked the kids up and I seen them there, I'm like, pick my eldest one up from high school, and I said, we're going to go to Kmart quickly. I'm going to get a kettle, a hot water bottle, and then we're going to one of those thermos coffee cups, the big ones. And then we're going to go into the grocery store, and we're going to get coffee, going to get carton milk, long life milk, sugar, a packet of chips. I got some Coke and some biscuits and everything like this. And I'm like, yep, awesome. Because if you could have a hot water bottle, and I bought a kettle, from Kmart, because I figured, if you can, because I know how wonderful a hot water bottle is, and if you've got a kettle, there's plenty of places around town that can, you can use the PowerPoint, so he can fill up the kettle. Not only can he have coffees, unlimited coffees for a while. I mean, it's going to stay hot for a good, 20 minutes, and he can fill that hot water bottle up. and at least it's something. And yeah, so I just wanted to say that perfect opportunity. So, you know, this wonderful thing is done in your name, sweet sister, and I thank you and appreciate all of yous who donate and things like this for the homeless ministry that I have here. I cook every single Tuesday. And so basically the meals that I do, I'm pretty much doing the same ones now because they're so good. The people really love them. And it's like a chicken schnitzel, roast potatoes, mixed vegetables with gravy. And yeah, it's a nice big meal. And so I do that every Tuesday. And, you know, I really absolutely love it. The people there now know me. They know my name. They know my kids. They talk to me, they ask me how my week's been, and, you know, it's so lovely to be, to have that friendship with them. So I just wanted to say thank you again for everybody who's ever donated and to help me do this. And without you, I couldn't do it. So I pray abundant blessings over you, and I pray it comes back to you 10, 100-fold. And, you know, I just wanted to finish on that. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for listening to me go on for hours. I really, really, really love you so much. And I pray that this video blesses you. I pray the Father blesses you. I pray the Son blesses you. And, you know, live in joy, live in love, live in gratitude, be charitable. That's all we need to do, brothers and sisters. And we're going to get out of here real soon, you know, real soon. The whole system is collapsing. Don't feed into the fear. Turn the TV off. Stop watching for the rapture, because that is a trap, okay? That is a trap to make you think, you know, to always be on edge and then go up and down when you're disappointed that the day has come and gone. Just stop with the rapture, please, brothers and sisters. We are nearing the end. So that's all you need to worry about. It's just walking in love and light. All right, I love you, brothers and sisters, and I will see you in the next video when I have collected another 50,000 hours of information. All right, God bless you. I love you. See you in the next one. Bye.